Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy Monday, guys. Um, so okay. I've been talking about the phases of a trial. Because this is not my first rodeo, right? So I've been through this before. So now that I'm going through it a second time, if it's like, oh, I know this part. I know this part. Oh, I've been here before. I know this. like it's like so now I'm like, oh, this is all part of a trial, so there are phases to this thing. This is all natural progression, right? And so I mentioned several different phases of a trial. um, the excitement of going into something new, the testing of your faith, the longevity of the trial, uh, I the dark night of the soul, the doubt, and when the enemy comes and starts making you doubt everything, that's part of it. um, there's so many different um, you know different things. Last time I think I talked about how when the length of the trial is so long that the people who faithfully support you and walk with you and encourage you start to fall off because they're like, this is crazy, this is taking too long. They have their timetable, their expectation in their mind. And so this morning as I was reading the Bible, I want to go deeper into that for a minute, because this kind of correlates with that. It's not necessarily the same thing, but it correlates with that very much so. Um, it hasn't happened as much this time as it did last time when I was walking across California, but this has come up, and I was reminded of it this morning when I was reading my Bible. I was like, oh yeah, this is important because it's part of the trial, it's part of the testing. And so it's what happens when the people who do walk with you, who do support you, who are your friends and family and people that care about you, they can't understand. And so their good intentions for you, um, like what their love for you will try to hinder your walk with God because they can't understand, right? And they can't understand. And so this was a problem big time when I walked across California, because back in those days I was vlogging on Facebook to all my friends and family. With this trial, I haven't even put it on Facebook. I don't even know if anybody knows or cares where I'm at. Like, it doesn't even matter. I haven't even put it on there because I didn't want that same there's a warfare. There was an intense warfare that came along with that. And so this trial has been much more isolated. Like, very few people talk to me and very few people encourage me. And I mean, I have my one day a week where I make my phone calls and catch up with people, the select people in my life and things like that. But when I was going across California, I was vlogging every single day on Facebook to everyone, and all it did was cost me warfare. And so this time I was like, yeah, I'll just save myself that battle, right? Like, there's some battles that just aren't necessary. That I think at that time in my life I needed to do that, and actually that might have been the thing that was propelling me forward and giving me that momentum, was the battle, because I was dead set on proving some people wrong. And so I needed that drive back in the day. But I have much more peace and security in my relationship with the Lord now, to where it's like, I don't need to prove anything to anybody. God said it, I'm going to do it, that's it. But there are people in your life who do love you, who do care for you, who do have your best interest at heart, who do want the best for you. And they do support you and they do encourage you, and but yet they still can't understand sometimes why God has you on the certain path, or why he allows suffering in your life, or why this or why that. And because they can't comprehend it, their love for you, which is love, I mean, it is love, um, will try to talk you out of your suffering and try to get you to come home and try to anything to ease the suffering, you know what I mean? And so they don't want to watch you suffer. They don't want to go watch you go hungry, or you know like anything, because they do love you, right? And there's some very good examples in the Bible. The first one I want to talk about is um, Peter, of course, when Jesus tells them, I got to go up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man is going to be, um, you know, hold it says, okay, from that time, it says Matthew 20, Matthew chapter 16, verse 21, from that time Jesus began to show to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and the chief priests, scribes, and be killed and be raised on the third day. And Peter, who loved him, who had good intentions for him, he took him aside and he began to rebuke him, saying, "Far be it for you, Lord, this shall not happen to you." But he turned to him and he said, "Get behind me, Satan. You are an offense to me, because you are not mindful of the things of God, but of the things of men." So Peter was like his best friend. He was like the number one disciple. Like, he's like, "I'll walk on water. I'll follow," like he was so bold, and so he loved Jesus. It wasn't that he didn't love Jesus. He just didn't want him, he certainly didn't want him to suffer or die. So he had good intentions for him, right? But Jesus said, "You are an offense to me. Like, you have no idea the bigger picture at hand. You have no idea that the suffering is for going to bring salvation into the whole world. Like, you have no idea this is why I'm here. This is what I've been sent for. This is my purpose. Your love for me, if I allow it, will derail me from my path that God has intended for me," right? And so Peter wasn't he wasn't doing that out of hate. He wasn't doing that because he didn't love Jesus. He absolutely loved Jesus. And nobody that loves you wants to watch you go hungry or suffer or, live in your car or do whatever it is that you have to do, like whatever it is. They don't want to see that, right? But they can't understand the bigger purposes at play here. They can't understand what's really happening, that if God allowed his own son to be crucified, trust me, he will allow you to suffer as well. Like, he has no problem letting you suffer, because Jesus didn't even have flesh to contend with. We do. And if he let his own sinless son get crucified, how much more those of us who absolutely need our flesh crucified sometimes. I'll be the first one to tell you, like, I'm fleshy sometimes, and that flesh really comes out when I am suffering. And then I'm like, man, like it becomes so real to me, of like, oh my gosh, like there is so much that needs to die in me, right? But I don't understand that unless I'm in suffering. It's the trial that brings out the flesh that needs to die. It's the trial that is crucifying your flesh. And if you avoid conflict at all turns, you will never die to self. You will never be able to crucify that flesh. It is the trial of fire that burns away your flesh. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that we present our bodies a living sacrifice, a sacrifice that is holy and pleasing to God, which is your reasonable service. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is that good, perfect, and acceptable will. But it's the sacrifice that goes onto the fire that gets burned away that is pleasing to God. That's what's pleasing to him. And so people who walk in the flesh or are fleshly or not, it's our natural human instinct to avoid suffering. Like, nobody wants to suffer. Nobody wants to watch our friends or our family suffer. But it's literally that very suffering that's going to purify you, that's going to correct anything in you, that's going to bring you closer to Jesus, that's going to solidify your faith, that's going to produce something in you that is an eternal weight of glory. And that's the only way to get it. It's the only way to get purified, is the fire. And so this morning I was reading when Jesus and the disciples, Jesus was dead set on going to Jerusalem, and they're on their way. And so it says in Luke 9:51, it says, "Now it came to pass, when the time had come for him to be received up, that he steadfastly set his face to Jerusalem, and sent messengers before his face. And as they went, they entered the village of the Samaritans to prepare for him. But they did not receive him, because his face was set for the journey to Jerusalem. And when his disciples James and John saw this, they said, 'Lord, do you want us to command fire to come down from heaven and consume them, just like Elijah did?' And he turned and rebuked them, and he said, 'You do not know what manner of spirit you are of. For the Son of Man did not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them.' And they went to another village." Well, this is what hit me this morning. He was dead set on making it to Jerusalem. Like, his face was set like flint. Like, he knew where he had to go, because it was the time of his death. It was the time of his crucifixion. And so, he's making his way to Jerusalem, right? He sends out messengers ahead of him. They go in to Samaria and they're like, no, we don't want him here, and they reject him. But he knew it's only because okay, so God will like almost force situations, right? Like you will be rejected in some places because God's forcing you to another place. Like so you think it's somebody's rejection of you, but really it's God's divine will to get you to the place where you need to be, right? So sometimes it can feel like um, oh, they don't want me here, they kicked me out, or they fired me from my job, or whatever. But it was always God's divine will to orchestrate it to get you to the place where He wanted you to be because you had a divine appointment, you had a destiny with God. And so that's what was happening here. Like, okay, they didn't want me here. So that's only because I know I have an appointment with the cross in Jerusalem and I got to be there. And so he knew that, but his disciples didn't know that. So they wanted to call fire down from heaven on these people. And that's what it's like when you're in a trial and your friends have good intentions for you. And they're like, telling you 50 things you should do to get yourself out of your situation. And you're like, but you don't understand. Like if I was supposed to be out of the situation, I serve the most sovereign God, the only sovereign God, who can divinely orchestrate me out of the situation at any moment, if that was His will, right? Because I know He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know that like every door that He opens, no man can shut. I know that everything is in His control and his power. He is sovereign over all. So if He wanted me out of suffering, He would deliver me out of suffering. And so there's nothing I can do until the appointed time. I have a date with destiny, right? But there are people who can't understand that. So when they see your rejection or they see your suffering, they're like, let's retaliate, let's get angry, let's, why would God let you do this, or why would God allow this, or they get angry at the situation and they're wanting to call fire down from heaven, and they have good intentions, right? They rejected you, Jesus, let's call fire down and smite them. And it's like, yeah, but it's for a better purpose, it's for a greater cause. And so that's the whole thing, is like we don't always understand us. He understood his situation, but even us, we don't always understand why we're going through the suffering. But if we understand his character, if we understand who he is, that he is sovereign, that he does own the cattle on 1,000 hills, that if he wanted to, he would feed me today. If he wanted to, he would put gas in my car. If he wanted to, he would open a divine door of destiny and open up the windows of heaven if it was time, right? So and those people wouldn't reject me if that was the place where I was supposed to be. That door wouldn't close in my face if that was the door that God had for me. So when you understand his character, that he is in control of all these situations, you don't get mad and want to retaliate and call fire down from heaven on the bad circumstances or the adverse circumstances in your life that are actually propelling you towards your destiny. And so that's what I'm saying. Like we can surround ourselves with people who love us. They genuinely love us. They genuinely care about us. They genuinely want to see the best for us. But their limited view of the bigger picture is so limited. In fact, it can get you off course. They don't see with God's perspective of your situation. They only see with their human perspective and their heart of love. And sometimes that love can derail you if you allow it. And so you have to be in alignment and agreement with God. You have to stand on the word of God and say, God said it, I believe it, let's do it. And you have to set your face like flint, like Jesus set his face towards Jerusalem. I got a destiny. I got to be on this path. I don't care what it looks like. It ended in his death. Paul, that's another one. Paul in the book of Acts, he's telling all the people, like, I'm not going to see you anymore. I'm dead set. I got my face set for Rome. I know what awaits me in Rome. And and he's like, I'm sad. I'm not going to see you anymore. And they were weeping and they were like, no, don't go. And he's like, what? What do you mean by all this crying? Like, do you not know? Hold on. I don't even know if I can find it. But, like, I love that verse so much. Oh, what verse is it? I don't even know. I would know if I had my old Bible. Oh, goodness. I don't remember numbers. I just remember, I memorized pages. So sorry, I can't find it off the off the top of my head. But anyway, he did the same thing. He's like, why are you crying? Why are you weeping? What do you mean by this? Like, I got somewhere to be. This is the purpose I came. And so it's like, it's like that's what you have to do. You have to like literally, no matter what the obstacle is, yes, God will allow suffering. You think God doesn't allow suffering? He will use it for his glory. He's using it for your sake. Like he is perfecting you in that suffering. You think God will crucify his own son, but he won't crucify your flesh, and Jesus had no sin? Get real. Take up your cross and follow him. And so but we have to remember that God is good. God is sovereign. He is doing this for our good. He is doing this to perfect us. He is doing this as a witness to other people. He is doing this to encourage other people in their suffering. Because I mean, sorry, this loud truck beeping, backing up. Anyway, so I know, like, for me, when I'm in my flesh and I'm in my suffering and I'm complaining over, whatever little thing I have going on, and then I open my Bible and I see Paul singing songs in prison in chains, and I'm like, man, and I'm complaining, I'm like, I have so much more flesh that could die. So we're constantly dying to flesh. We're constantly dying to, hey Eric, hey buddy, to the things of this world. So and you won't even know how much flesh is in you until you get into that furnace, and then you're like, ow, it burns. It's because it's all your flesh dying off, and it's necessary so that we look like Jesus. Oh, thank you, Eric. Thank you, buddy. God bless you. Yeah. So anyway, guys, like there will be good people in your life, and you don't have to get angry with them for loving you. They do love you. And I think that when I was walking across California, I used to get so mad at these people because they couldn't understand. I would try to explain it to them, and they would call me every day and offer me plane tickets, and they were like, just come home, just come home, just come home. This is crazy. Why are you doing this? And I'm like, no, I got a date with destiny. I can't leave. I can't exit this trial, because and I'm so glad, because then I met Pastor Phil, and that man changed my life. That whole experience changed my whole life. And the whole trial changed my life. I went back last night, and I went back to my old YouTube channel. Like I had an old YouTube channel, and I went back to the very first video I ever made, and I watched that little girl. And those videos are not public, but like I could see them, but nobody else can. Thank God. But I saw the growth from back in 2016 till now, and I was just like, oh my goodness. And I realized watching that it was all those trials that made me who I am now. And thank God for the trial, because without those trials, I would still be her. I would still be that girl, and God bless her, but man, she had a lot of growing up to do. I mean, she had a lot of growing up to do, and so I always say, keep records of your growth, keep records of your testimonies, keep records, because you're going to want to go back and look at what God is doing. You want to see what God is doing, go back and look at your old self, and then you're like, man, he's okay, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I was. You know what I mean? And so it's very encouraging. And so what I'm saying is, like, thank God for the trial. People will always love you, and they will want to pull you out of it. And it's not evil that they want to do that, even though Jesus called Peter Satan for doing it. So there is something demonic about it, right? Because Jesus said, unless you hate your mother and your father and your sister, your brother, you can't be my disciple. And what he meant was not really hate them, but hate their intentions for you, hate what they want for you, hate their desires for you. Your mom wants you to grow up and be a doctor, but Jesus is like calling you to go to Haiti and be a missionary. So which one are you going to follow? You know what I mean? And so it's like, hate their life that they have planned out hate their desires for your life, hate that stuff, and just follow the Lord. And so that's what I mean. A lot of people can derail us from our destiny. I mean, it can happen so easily if we don't stay firm in the Word of God and stay strong with our eyes fixated on the cross. We have a destiny with that cross. We have a destiny in Jerusalem. We have a destiny with a divine appointment with God. And there may be shipwrecks and perils and distresses and suffering and hunger and thirst and all these things along the way. But count it all joy when you fall into various trials. Count it all joy. Sing songs in prison. It's doing a work in you. It's a testimony to other people. When you can smile in the storm, when you can be cheerful in the storm, when you can be grateful in the storm, nothing can break you. Nothing in this whole world can break you. I promise. And that's the place he's trying to get us to. He wants us to be rock solid, built on the rock that does not move. So, don't let anybody pull you off your path. They may love you, but, you know, what am I going to go live your life with you? And what kind of fulfillment is that? You know? No. I got to be about my Father's business. And so I want to leave you with that today. I love you guys. I hope that encouraged someone. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.